Well, look, Team Taco, Trump's reporters, look, I know that y'all know that I've been studying on y'all for quite some time now, and I've had to, because it's just one of them things that once you look at it, you can't unlook at it, it's like, what the hell's wrong with that thing? Let me look at it again, I do that a lot, It's like if you're working on a car or something like that, it's like, well, that right there don't look right. I shouldn't be blowing water out that bolt hole right there. There's something, let me look at that again, It's that same thing right there. And I've been looking at y'all like that. And, it's like a dog licks on its ball sack, and it's like, why does that dog do that? Why would that dog, that's nasty, dog, don't do that. You study on the stuff like that to figure out what in the world he's doing. Like sniffing each other's buttholes and stuff, You look at that dog, it's like, why would you stick your nose up there? That's the stinkiest place you could put it, dog. You can smell that from a distance. You ain't got to get it that close, Those are the things you study on right there and figure out what's going on. It's the same thing with y'all, is you always got your little tongue there on Krasnov, Donald F. and Trump's ball sack all the time. And it's like, we got to study on that right there. We got to figure that out. And always licking up in his butt crack, getting Cheeto juice up on you and stuff. So we got to study on that. So I've been studying on you is what I'm saying. And I had to come up with some sort of solution for what's wrong with y'all. And initially, y'all, that means at first, what happened was I figured out, I was like, what it is the television signals didn't make it all the way to your house, and I'm like, that's got to be it, because you didn't get the Schoolhouse Rocks, and that's obvious, I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. You didn't get that, and I'm like, well, that right there could do some serious damage to a person not learning about things they should be learning on, No Sesame Streets or Electric Company, and you didn't get the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood, and you can tell by the way that it is, because you don't know how to be neighborly, and that teaches you how to like everybody, no matter who they are. You just like people because of people, You didn't get that either, So I'm like, that's got to be it. The TV signals wasn't making it there, And it's understandable, you're way out there in the sticks and stuff. A tree could have been blocking your signal, or even a mountain or something like that. I mean, I had to get up on the roof of my house several times and turn that antenna, to get my signals. You know how mad I'd be if my Bugs Bunny got fuzzy, you know what I mean? So I'd have to fix on that, and y'all didn't get to do that. So anyway, I thought maybe that was the only problem. It's not, y'all. It's not. Now then, did this Jeffrey Epstein stuff come out? No, didn't come out, you know what I mean? Because y'all were real butthurt about that. Now that didn't come out, I figured out something else that y'all didn't have, and I never realized it. Coloring books. You didn't have coloring books. I mean, I understand the TV signals, being beamed from the spaces and stuff didn't make it all the way there, but coloring books, they could put those in the back of trucks and ship them out there to you, I'm sorry you didn't have coloring books. Those were fun, they still are fun. But see, we had fancy coloring books whenever I was coming up, and I think they still make them. It wasn't just coloring in between the lines. It was this thing called connect the dots is what it was. And the way it worked is you just had a bunch of dots on a page, like a 1 and a 2 and a 3. These dots were numbered, and you would draw lines between the 1 to the 2, to the 2 to the 3, and to the 3 to the 4, And as you did that, it would make an outline of this picture. It was like magic. You felt like a magician whenever you got done. You got the outline of a picture, just drawing lines between some dots. And then after you was done, then you got to fill that sumbitch in with crayons, y'all. Color it all up, make it pretty like, You got to do that with it. And then you got this sense of accomplishment when you're done. It's like, look what I created right here. I took something with a bunch of dots, and I turned it into a pretty picture. Y'all didn't get to do that. That's what happened to you, So not only did the TV signals not make it there, you didn't have the coloring books, and they make you smarter, they make you smarter, give you a sense of creativity and stuff like that, and especially teach you how to connect some dots, So I'm going to go ahead and teach you how to do some of that, all right? And it's for you. I'm doing this for you. Now, here's the thing. We're going to connect some dots, but instead of doing it with something that you love and idolize, something that you worship, like Donald effing Trump, your little brown hippie baby Jesus replacement there, a big orange bloated syphilis up Adderall riddled idiot. We're going to replace that with something you hate, since you like hating things so much. This right here might make your connecting the dots experience a little more simple for you to understand. So dot number one is, let's say that Barack Obama said he didn't know Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell. He's heard of them, but he don't know them, But then it turns out that he was actually best friends with Jeffrey Epstein throughout the entire 1990s, and there's videos of them out there partying it up and pictures of them all over the place throughout the 1990s. Plus, people that knew them and knew they were besties. If that happened, that would be a dot for you right there. That Obama just started. There's your dot number one right there. And then on top of that, if you also had Ghislaine Maxwell, and that Barack Obama would take flights over to the UK and pick up 20-year-old British models and fly them back to Barack Obama's little palace, and spend the weekend with them together there. That would be dot number two. Then you could draw that line from dot one to dot two, and you would see that picture. Although it's just a line, it's starting to come together a little bit. You've hit your starting point. So then you could even take it further, and you could be like, well, what about that Obama saying that, well, I never knew him, but then the old Jeffrey Epstein fellow was like, oh yeah, we were best friends for a long time. See, because Obama couldn't have friends. He wasn't able to have friends because he would always go behind his friends' back and F their wives, That's another dot right there. There's your 2 to your 3 right there. So now then, that picture's starting to come in for you. And then if that Obama was actually named in court filings with Jeffrey Epstein as a co-conspirator there, filed by a formerly 13-year-old girl that was filing charges against the two of them for raping her in Jeffrey Epstein's mansion there. That right there would be another dot. Then you could draw that line from 3 to the 4, Now look at that picture, how it's coming together. It's just coming together. Now, also, if you was to think, that Obama, with just the information that's already been released, he's on that flight list 7 times already, with just the information that's been released. He's already on that flight list 7 times. That's another dot. There's your 5 dot. Then you can go from 4 to 5 there with your little crayon and can connect those dots up. See how this is working? You see how it's working? So not only that, then you could say, well, that Obama, you know what he went and did? The very attorney that got Jeffrey Epstein off of the first set of charges that was filed against him, Obama appointed him into his cabinet. He did when he was president, appointed him into his cabinet. That's another dot right there. That's your 6 dot. That goes from 5 to 6. See, now you're getting a pretty little picture together, aren't you? See, and then what if Obama was the one that was pretending to be president at the time that Jeffrey Epstein died in custody there with a minute of footage missing from the security tape there? What if it was Obama? Well, then you'd have you another dot right there is what you'd have from the 7 to the 8. There's your other dot. You see it. There's a lot of these dots that are painting this picture for you. So it's not real hard to understand is what I'm telling you. These dots that you're overlooking on purpose are painting the picture and giving you the answers that you seek. But you don't want to pick up that crayon and draw these lines, do you? Anyway, there's a lot more dots there to be connected still that are right out there in front of your face. You refuse to see them. That's your problem. You should continue drawing these lines and you'll understand why that there's no list, okay? Are there Democrats on that list? Guaranteed. Are there Republicans? Guaranteed. But you know what? It ain't Democrats with a $19 million slush fund of hush money, of taxpayer hush money sitting there, okay? Because what you wanting to do is you want this list brought out, like I said before, and you are just so sure that it's just going to be full of a bunch of Democrat pedophiles. And that's the reason why you think that is because you look over there at the Democratic Party and there's gay people there, and y'all associate being gay with being a pedophile. And there's absolutely no connection to that whatsoever, but your little brain can't figure that out. So you see that, and you also see the diversity over there in the Democratic Party. And what you're looking at is a snapshot of America in the Democratic Party. That's what you don't like, see, because if you look at your party over there, a bunch of white men, that's not a snapshot of America. That's not at all what that is. So what you're doing is you're hating on some Democrats. You want them to be pedophiles, is what you want. But that's not the truth. The thing is Donald effing Trump is all over that. I just helped you connect some of these dots, okay? I see you out there on the social medias right now trying to make every excuse under the sun now as to why they didn't release that list. After Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi done told you they were going to, and that it was sitting on her desk. I see you right now trying to wrap your head around that, and you're having a hard time doing it. So now you're making excuses about, well, it might be national security is what it has to be. Some of you have gone so far as to say, you've really upset me, Mr. Trump, Mr. President. You've really upset me on this one. I've seen you doing that too, which tells me you ain't going to abandon him. You're going to take it, like the little biatch that you are. So, he already gave you another shiny object. How many of y'all are going to chase this new shiny object now that he's going to investigate James Comey, huh? Y'all gonna run away from this now and start chasing that one like a kitty cat chasing a laser pointer, you know what I mean? Because that's what that's intended for. Because Donald Trump don't want you talking about the Jeffrey Epstein list, and he made that very clear in that press conference when he asked you, why are you still talking about that? So pick up your crayons, finish connecting those dots and color it all in, and you'll understand a whole lot better about the demon that you put in the White House. Inmate Trump.